Hi, everybody. This is Bob Schwartz, the Executive Director of the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. I am with Lynn Twist, who is the author of The Soul of Money, the president of the Soul of Money Institute, and the co-founder of the Pachamama Alliance. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm fine. It's delightful to talk to you.
I'm so happy that you're going to be coming, giving a keynote address at the ASEP conference, and we're going to be talking at least to some extent about some of the ideas that you talk about in your book, The Soul of Money. Perhaps we could just start with, you talk about that there are 3 myths about money. I mean, people have this bizarro relationship with money. I mean, I guess that's really the point, right? Maybe we should just start there. Tell the folks listening maybe what they don't realize about their relationship with money.
Well, I've been lucky enough to be a fundraiser all my life and a philanthropist and working with many, many people, both with huge financial resources and very little financial resources, because I worked for 20 years on ending world hunger. So I have a deep understanding of living in resource-poor circumstances. So in that journey of being someone who's dealt with fundraising and poverty and hunger, and now with the Amazon, Indigenous peoples of the Amazon, I've had an incredible journey with money, understanding people's relationship with money, not just money itself, although I have learned a lot about that, but when you're raising money, and I've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, you interact very intimately with people about what they care about, what their vision for the world is, what's their heart's desire. And when you really get down to the root of people's soul, all they want is to make a difference with their life, to make a difference with their time, to make a difference with who they are, and they actually do want to make a difference with the money that flows through their life. But most of us are so caught in this money system, this sort of dysfunctional relationship with money that is part of the cultural condition that is around money, that we think there's something wrong with us in our relationship with money. We all, pretty much everybody feels wrong in their relationship with money and like a failure. And it's hard to believe this, but even some of the most wealthy people on this planet, some of the billionaires who I've had a great privilege of working with, they're all screwed up about money too. So having more money doesn't necessarily clear it all up. And that was a revelation to me. I realized that this cultural condition of anxiety, of suffering, of fear of scarcity, of running out, of not having enough is actually part of the money system. It's a culture, not just your personal problem. And so it's a cultural condition, and then we personalize it and make ourselves very, very wrong. Mm-hmm. So I've been, for many years, working with people to free them from the anxiety, the suffering, the upsets, the baggage, the hurt, the wounds that they have around money. And it's been a privilege to do that. And when people feel freedom and peace in their relationship with money, money can begin to move through their life like the currency or the current that it actually is, a currency of love.
We've sometimes talked about money as a stored energy. But you said something, I think a lot of the people that are in our organization, a lot of people that are light workers or mental health workers, they sort of, I think there's this idea that sort of money is bad.
Yeah.
If you either help people, you can't ask for money. You're not, I wonder if you could, it's like this almost opposite thing. Instead of, oh no, money's not going to control my life. And yet it controls their life because then they say, I don't have enough money.
Exactly. Well, there's a trap, a nice, healthy trap there that everybody probably already knows. But to have an aversion to money is just as much being caught in the system as it is to be addicted to money. So those of us who, and I found myself in this category several times where, oh no, I'm doing spiritual work, I shouldn't do that. It's holy. I don't want to get that dirty thing called money involved. And then you end up not getting compensated for the work that you do. And I've realized that that's a lack of integrity, that we all deserve and have the right to be compensated for our service to the world, whatever it is. And because so many people in the sort of predatory business world that we sometimes look at with disdain are overcompensated or compensated in a way that that actually fosters greed and accumulation and acquisition and becoming kind of a person we don't want to be. We sometimes have an aversion to money altogether, and we don't charge what we're worth. Our set point about what we're worth is way too low, and we don't get compensated truly and authentically for the service we provide for the world. And I consider that a lack of our own integrity, not telling the truth about the fact that money is a currency of commitment. It's part of the agreement that we've made between us as human beings to compensate people for their gifts, their talents, their service to the world. And that does not exclude psychics. It doesn't exclude energetic healers. It doesn't exclude spiritual teachers. In fact, those people have enormous value to society and enormous value to the people that they serve. So finding a way to make peace with being compensated for your service to the world is part of what I do also. And I will talk about that at the conference.
That would be great. And maybe, since I like to have these things be, people get one really good thing, is there, and maybe it's not appropriate, but is there like one thing that someone listening or watching this could do, could enact, could think about, that would help them take to heart what you were just saying? Is there any, well, I don't know, maybe there is and maybe there's not. What could somebody do who says, yes, I'm one of these folks who deals, doesn't, yes, I hear you, Lynn, I don't value myself. What's some practice that maybe they could do, whether it's mental or action oriented? Anything come to mind?
Let me
I'm putting you on the spot. sorry about that.
I'll say one thing before I see if I can invent a practice that would be appropriate to answer your question. But first of all, I must say that the culture we're swimming in, one thing that actually, this is a little bit of a practice itself. If you realize that the culture we are swimming in, the money culture, is rooted in debt and constantly generates more debt, the actual system is designed that way. Mm-hmm. That it's not you, that it's actually in the system. The way money comes into existence is through debt. It's loaned into existence by the Federal Reserve. And the money system has to keep growing or it'll collapse. That, it's kind of a big giant Ponzi scheme, actually, and we're all caught in it. People who are enormously wealthy, people who can't make ends meet, people who don't charge enough for their services. One practice is to forgive yourself for being caught in that and see that it's not you. That's actually, I'm going to recommend that as a practice, then I'm going to say another one, because it is part of the money deal and it's not you. And I think we end up making ourselves so wrong that we go into a deficit relationship with ourselves over the whole thing and make it worse. So if you can see that the suffering around money is part of the culture, not personal to you. Buddha said all suffering is a lie. The source of all suffering is a lie. And the lies our culture tells about money, the promises it makes around money, is a huge part of our suffering. And it's not personal. And if you can see that, and I'll talk a lot more about this at the conference, you get a little piece of freedom right there. And that's a practice.
Right. It's kind of mindfulness about how we have, I think what I hear you say is that just be aware of the fact that you've basically been brainwashed.
Exactly. Perfect. That was much shorter.
Yeah. And just and go, if we're going to do EFT, even though I've been brainwashed about money, and there are these things that you don't even realize. I was reading your book and I was like, my God, Lynn's a revolutionary. Nicely, but she's really calling into question like all these assumptions and presuppositions. And I found myself going, oh my God. So yeah, I think that might be one good thing to just reflect on between now and then is how are you, how's the culture? How is the culture, whether it's the television commercial, whether we were parents as a way of just buying all, this stuff.
And the culture is has devolved us. We used to be citizens. You know, citizens means he or she who's responsible for the well-being of the community, the state, the country, the world.
Mm-hmm.
We've devolved to consumers. We don't call ourselves citizens any longer. We call ourselves consumers. And that word means he or she who takes, depletes, diminishes, or destroys. That label alone has a psychological impact on who we are. That label is so powerful and so denigrating. And you and I, that's not who we are. And just to recognize that we've been relegated or designated or, you know, devolved from citizens taking responsibility for the well-being of it all to consumers taking, accumulating, diminishing, destroying. That is that's like a poster for the money culture that devalues life, exalts money, and devalues you. And when you can extract yourself from that lie, and we all know it's not true, you begin to see your own value. So a second practice, I'm going to give you another one, is to really be in the presence of the miracle, the bounty, the beauty of your own life. And we're going to do a practice at the conference, a whole process on this. So I promise that you'll come out of this with a experience of your wholeness, your completeness, and your sufficiency, your enoughness. And it will impact the way you charge for your services, and impact the way you earn, and impact the way you save, spend, invest, and hopefully contribute, because contributions are part of everybody's life when they're really in touch with who they are. So a second practice is really getting in touch with and being grateful for the enoughness that's already present in your life, the relationships you love, the people who love you, the work you get to do, the privilege of being of service, for example.
You know, just that one thing about citizen and consumer, really, I'm still sort of going, oh my God, that's really intense.
Yeah.
In the very subtle ways that influences us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think since I'm a big less is more fan guy, I think this is really sufficient, actually.
Excellent.
I really, and I know you're going to talk about that. I know you talked about the myths of money, and this. I thought also reading about this idea of finding a way to be in the space of sufficiency. And certainly in the mental health world, we always talk about it's not what happens to you, it's how you look at it, it's how you look at everything. And I'm really looking forward to you being at the conference and what you have to say. And I want to thank you for your time. And we'll be sending this out shortly to folks.
Thank you, Robert. It'll be a joy to be with everybody, and thank you for including me. And I look forward to being at the conference and hopefully making a difference in whatever way I can.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Take care.
Bye-bye.